What is extremely unhygienic, but everyone seems to do it anyway? Story 1. 1. Buy a pack of tortillas from the grocery store. 2. Take the tortillas home and open the package. 3. Pull out a tortilla and temporarily put it on top of the package, thinking you're keeping it off your countertop. You may as well have slapped your tortilla directly onto the grocery store shelf before taking it home. The outsides of grocery packaging are not clean, people. 8. Story 2. I dislike touching sticky condiment bottles at a restaurant table like ketchup when I'm eating finger foods like fried or a burger. Answer. I used to be a server at this restaurant where we kept the ketchup bottle at the table. I remember I watched a child put the bottle in their mouth and their parent didn't do anything about it. After they left, I emptied out the entire bottle and ran it through the dishwasher. But I've always been weary about that now because I don't think all servers would do that if they even saw that happen. Story 3. Eating fries at a bowling alley, licking their fingers, then sticking them in the bowling ball, which others had done the same thing earlier too. Story 4. People making your lunch in gloves to keep the germs off the food, then take your dirty cash with the clean gloves. Story 5. This is a niche thing, but when I worked at McDonald's, I was a manager for a bit. At one point during training, there was a video about safe handling procedures for the Happy Meal Go-Gurts. I was confused because, you just put the tube in the box and move on. No, you have to wear gloves, which, for just a moment, threw me before the obvious, slapped me in the face. Of course you should. Kids put their mouth on it. I went to all the service employees with my findings, and they had the same reaction. A bunch of confusion and, that's dumb, before, holy shoot, we need gloves right now. Story 6. I always wash my hands before unloading the dishwasher and putting clean dishes away, and according to a previous post on Reddit, that's apparently super weird. If I'm going to eat off of them later, I want to make sure my hands are clean before I put them away. I wash my hands before eating too. Story 7. Unwashed produce from the grocery store. Source. I work in a grocery store. The produce is filthy, the workers' hands are filthy, the shelves are filthy. And think of everywhere it touches before it arrives to the store. I don't really know what the solution is, but I wash all of my produce in hot water and vinegar. It grosses me out. Literally saw a man's nose dripping snot onto the broccoli. Vile. Answer. The worst for me is when bread and baked goods are in large open containers, and some people think they have to finger and squeeze every single piece to check for freshness. And I've seen people drop bread rolls onto the floor and then toss them back into the basket with the others too, as if there isn't a rubbish bin specifically for that purpose there. At least the produce can and should be washed. Story 8. Eating food without washing your hands first, especially when out in public. You won't believe the amount of people who will just grab a handrail on a subway in NYC and then raw dog a bagel with their bare hands without at least sanitizing their hands first. Story 9. Putting your filthy suitcase on your bed. I don't understand why everyone does this. Same with laying out shoes on bed while packing. Crazy. Story 10. Getting in your bed after spending all day outside in the same clothes you were out in public all day. This includes having gone to public restrooms, doing such out in public. Also wearing shoes on your bed. Absolutely not. Just plain disgusting. Story 11. Setting food directly in a sink that has been washed in God knows how long, like just tossing vegetables in there to rinse, then eat raw. Story 12. I particularly dislike when people decide to say grace for the food holding hands with everyone. Like, please, I already washed my hands, but I know you touched your pet before sitting at the table, and others don't wash their hands correctly after going to the bathroom. Freaking disgusting. Let me pray, holding my own hands. Story 13. Drinking from cans. They're almost never handled cleanly and safely, and then you put your mouth on it. Sure, the content inside is safe, but the top is filthy. Story 14. Walking away from fueling at the gas pump without washing or sanitizing their hands, then off to get drive-through French fries they go. Just lick the pump handle, why don't ya? Story 15. I think a lot of people don't wash their legs, feet in the shower because the water runs over it, but it's not enough. Answer. You can say that, but the fact that people do it and nothing comes of it is evidence of the opposite. I'm just generally against prescriptive actions when they clearly don't affect much at all. I mean, I've seen someone say that they wouldn't buy a used couch because it's full of other people's farts. That's ridiculous, and as Mythbusters has taught us, the world in general is covered in low-grade fecal bacteria, and you didn't care because you didn't know and there aren't any consequences. Everyone is acclimated to a certain amount. Story 16. Self-care without washing their hands. Especially for women, we can get so many infections that way. Story 17. Blowing out birthday candles on a cake. At no other time could someone blow all over your food and you still eat it. But for whatever reason, birthdays are an exception. Answer. I had a friend stay the night back when we were teenagers. The morning after, when we were having breakfast and the butter was a little too hard from the fridge to be spread properly, he held the container up to his mouth and breathed hard directly onto the butter to heat it up, like you would into your hands if they were cold. It's one of the grossest fudge things I've seen someone do so nonchalantly in someone else's home. Let me tell you, that butter went right in the trash when he went home. Story 18. Wearing shoes in the house. As a European, I am disgusted that Americans think this is normal, or putting shoes on the bed. Story 19. People exchange cash. Seen folks put cash inside their sweaty drawers during sports, then hand the grocery clerk a moist bill. Story 20. Using gym mats. You are dreaming if you think the poo isn't on the shoe gym mats are notoriously filthy. Story 21. When you bring a hot dog into the bathroom with you and you drop it on the toilet seat and then pick it up and continue eating it. Story 22. Men hold their male body part with urine squirting out of it and then just stuff it down their pants and walk out of the restroom. Story 23. Going anywhere where there are people when you have a cold, flu, COVID, especially without a mask. It's like COVID turned everyone into selfish zombies who consider it a badge of honor to spread their germs as far and wide as possible. Disgusting idiots. Story 24. Let their cats walk on their dining room tables and kitchen counters. They've got kitty litter chute on their paws. Story 25. Sneezing, coughing into their hands instead of into their inner forearm. I realize those that haven't worked in food service don't understand that this is what you're supposed to do, so you don't spread your germs and get someone else sick. But every time I see a MF sneeze cough full force into both of their hands, I'm genuinely grossed out and like, why did you do this in front of me? Story 26. Not wash their hands before eating and before using the restroom. You walk into a restaurant, open the door, look over a menu that hundreds of people have touched. Who knows what else before that? Order a burger and shove it into your mouth hole. This is more for men, but you touch whatever handles. Then handle your business at the urinal. Only after wash your hands. It's backwards. Story 27. Putting your shoes in your suitcase without a shoe bag. The shoes that have been stepping in dirt and piss and poop and spit and grease and all sorts of filth. Yes, those shoes, on top of your clean clothes. Story 28. I was taught that the first things to do when getting home are 1. Shoes off and left in the designated area, and 2. Wash hands. As an adult, it was sickening to find out that this isn't universal, and many people skip one or both. Story 29. Washing your hands in a public bathroom, then touching the door handle with your bare hand to leave. If there are paper towels available, I always wrap that around the door to open it rather than my hand. It's so germy. If there are no paper towels, I just use my shirt around the handle. Story 30. Sticking grubby, unwashed hands in a bigger bag of snacks that is being shared with multiple people. I dislike that shoot. Story 31. Putting your effing dog's jerk where my groceries go. I'm a dog lover, but I'm also aware of other people. Story 32. Walk out of the subway into a pizza place, order a slice, and eat it with your hands without washing them. Story 33. Keeping toothbrush in bathroom near toilet. So much shoot matter in the air. Dipping hand in the holy water at church. The entire church did that shoot, wiping jerk after shoot. That's so gross, I don't know how PPL don't wash every time. That 3 off the top. Story 34. Lame for most and a mere preference, but I absolutely can't leave my house unshowered in the morning to be out entire day school, work, name it. Started this in 5th grade and just became part of me. I don't feel filthy when I get up. I just feel gross. Shoot, on rare weekends when I just do like a Netflix binge day tonight, I'll wake up, make my bed so it feels fresh, shower, change into sweatpants and clean t-shirt, then to the freshened bed to binge in peace. I'm gonna say maybe undiagnosed ad here, but it's really just refreshing and comfortable. Please judge my insanity. It's fine. Answer. I am team shower in the evening cause I can't stand going into bed dirty. I am not a sweaty person. As in, I actually have issues in the summer where I literally need to water myself with these mist spray bottles. Otherwise, I will pass out from the heat before my body decides to just let me sweat. On the plus side, though, I am still very fresh when I wake up in the morning. Story 35. Shaking hands, especially since many people cough into their hand and then don't wash it, and many people don't wash their hands after going to the toilet. Story 36. Can nobody see the issue with having touch screens to order food in McDonald's, especially the sort of food that you eat with your hands? God alone knows who's touched those screens and what they were doing with their hands before. Story 37. Wiping poop with just paper. If you got poop on your arm, would you just wipe it off with paper? Or would you want to use soap and water? Why is the anus any different? Story 38. Reading this thread is making me realize that all this disgusting stuff happens, and still we rarely get sick. Maybe because this stuff happens, it's not going to eliminate you. In fact, it makes your immune system stronger to be exposed to this, which therefore makes you less likely to get sick. Story 39. Wearing shoes inside the house. You walk outdoors with those where animals, and maybe even people, piss and shoot, and then drag that back all over your floors. Gross. In this same vein, people who lay in bed in their outdoor clothes. Imagine taking public transportation and then coming home and rubbing that all over your bedding. Story 40. Touching bathroom doors. Jan wiped her butt after popping, didn't wash her hands, and then opened the bathroom door. You washed your hands and then grabbed the same handle. You now have Jan's poop on your hands. Congrats. Story 41. People serving in restaurants itching and scratching their skin, scalp, and touching food, etc. Like PLS, wash your hands if you're doing a hot scratch. I don't need your sebaceous filament oils on my cup. Story 42. Drinking from a soda or energy drink you just bought at a gas station without sanitizing the area you're putting your mouth. Story 43. The amount of boomers finger-licking to turn a page or open a plastic bag I've witnessed just today makes me gag. Did COVID period at least teach you anything? Story 44. Letting your dog lick your after they've just spent 5 minutes cleaning their balls with their tongue. Story 45. Belts are one of the dirtiest items around. You touch it before and after you use the bathroom. How often do you clean your belt? Story 46. Definitely not everyone, but there seems to be a large enough amount of people that shame others for not washing a raw chicken. Fact is, it's very unhygienic to do so. It does very little to the chicken apart from get it wet and spreads raw chicken germs all over your sink and work surfaces, making it more likely to cross-contaminate something. If you're concerned about bacteria found in raw chicken, then try cooking the bloody thing. Story 47. Keeping the lid open when flushing the toilet and leaving their toothbrush out in the open on the sink, not in a cover. I don't want shoot particles all over my toothbrush, thanks. Story 48. Blowing out candles on a birthday cake. Yes, let little Johnny spit blow over all the food we are about to eat. Story 49. So many people wiping with just dry TP. If you had poo on any other part of your body, you would be scrubbing it with soap ASAP. Story 50. Pumping gas, I've heard. Studies have been done that look at the pump handles for bacteria and, literally, SHE, they're apparently disgusting. I use a paper towel 100 now. Story 51. Probably never washing or sanitizing their phone. Imagine how nasty all of our phones are right now. Story 52. Eating birthday cake after someone else has blown out the candles. Using public restroom and only washing hands but not forearms. Not washing belts. In the US, a lot of people wear outdoor shoes inside the house. Phones. Just everything to do with phones. LOL. Story 53. My dentist had his gloves on while examining my mouth, running his finger along my gum line, and then he went to his laptop, took notes, and then proceeded to check something else in my mouth. I sunk in my chair and said, "Whoa, do you do this with all your patients?" I can only imagine how much bacteria is on his keyboard. Story 54. I feel better about my germ phobia reading this thread. A pet peeve is people not washing their hands after using the toilet. And if I see them do it in a public washroom, I'm wary about eating at their home, where I can't see if they wash. My worst time was going to a movie with a friend. We peed in different stalls at the same time. I finished first and was just finishing up, rinsing off hand soap and drying my hands. She walked right from her stall, past me and into the lobby. Then I was getting popcorn and offered to buy her one, but she declined. Shortly after the movie started, she said she'd changed her mind and felt like having some popcorn. Her toilet hand dipped right into my popcorn bag. Needless to say, I'd lost my appetite for popcorn immediately. Story 55. Wear shoes in the house. You literally walk in public restrooms with pee on the floor, and then you come in and walk it all over the house. Story 56. Spitting and snorting on the soccer field or tennis court. All the others have to cross these remains multiple times in the next hour or two. Story 57. In a commercial setting, it's a huge no-no to have animals anywhere near the food. home, people's dogs and cats practically live in the kitchen. Story 58. Breathing the air full of viruses that spread through aerosols. And those viruses have a latency, which means that they are actively harming you, but the immune system holding them at bay, unless there is an event where the immune system gets overwhelmed and the virus reactivates. AKA, now you have two problems. Story 59. Casual intimacy in general. Smorgasbord of biohazardous fluids and solids in all the places you otherwise tend to not really appreciate them being. Horny brain suppress hygiene brain, though. Checkmate. Story 60. Women's purses, they take them to the bathroom. With them, put them on the floor, then go home and put them on the kitchen counter. Yuck. Story 61. How about taking your phone to the bathroom using the phone while you're going? You can wash your hands after, but phone is still dirty, and then said person will be using the phone while eating. Story 62. Guys not washing their hands before they pee. As a woman who likes going down, this intrusive thought horrifies me. Story 63. Pretend to wash your hands in public washrooms by flicking some water around. Almost everyone does it. Crazy to watch. If you're going to pretend and your hands are already wet, porque no just add soap. Story 64. Washing meat and the resulting spread of germs that would otherwise be obliterated. No amount of common sense or scientific evidence will make meat washers budge from their stubbornly and emotionally held beliefs. Story 65. Bowls of nuts and pretzels at bars. I used to dig into them all the time until one night I saw a guy come out of a bathroom stall, not wash his hands, and then later sit next to me at the bar and enjoy some pretzels. I realized that countless guys must do that every night, never again. Story 66. Men standing up to piss regardless of how bad their aim is. If you're getting piss all over the seat floor walls, maybe it's time to just take a seat. Story 67. After being in public all day, going to bathroom and touching your junk to pee, I wash my hands twice, once before and again afterwards. Also, belts are pretty dirty too. They never get cleaned but are always touched by dirty hands. Story 68. Sticking your finger in your partner's mouth is a sexy move. Like, where have your hands been first? Then again, these are people who have literally been inside of us in more invasive ways than fingers on mouths. So there's that. Story 69. I have a few cooking with a cat on a counter for guests or for a potluck. If you're cooking for yourself in your own home, then it's your prerogative. But if you have guests over or taking food to a party or somewhere for someone else, then maybe don't have a cat on the counter while meal is being prepared. And I love pets. So this isn't anti-animal sentiment. Although this is high on my list, it is not as bad as people not washing their hands before cooking or after handling contaminated food. Another one that's high on my list are people who use the same tongs plates for raw meat to put on the barbecue and then use the same tongs after the meat is cooked and then place it back on the contaminated plate. I used to work in restaurants, so of course I had to get my food handler's permit to do so. Same with my family. So my family has always been very good about refrigerating leftovers within a reasonable time frame. In some household or in other countries, they have very different rituals around leftovers. For example, when I was visiting my aunt in Greece, she told me that pork has special properties, and you do not have to refrigerate it for a day or two once it's been cooked. She told me that after I had some and ended up with severe food poisoning. Her gut biome was used to that food practice, but mine wasn't. Story 70. Cooks and chefs who don't wear a mask. In Korea, most cooks wear a form of a mask, usually a lightweight one that only blocks the mouth. Story 71. I always wipe the top of cans before I drink them. It just hit me one day how the top of a can could be touching anything, especially ones not in a box. Story 72. Handshakes, although way more with men than women. I am a trans man, and the whores I have heard with no hand washing afterwards. Barf. I am in the process of giving up handshaking as a practice. I don't need to touch every man's unwashed wiener touching hands. That's, but no, I'm queer and I like male body part, but that doesn't mean I want strangers' pee germs. Story 73. Put credit cards license in their mouth, like biting down when trying to look for something else, if that makes sense. LOL. Story 74. Touching door handles and elevator buttons. I stopped doing it many years ago. I only use the inside of my shirt to touch these type of things. Story 75. I recently saw a man at Gatwick Airport while we were waiting at luggage reclaim, with his hands down his trousers, ferociously scratching his crown jewels. He did this for ages. Just walking around, scratch, scratch, scratch. He then used the same hands to plug his phone charger in a socket and turn on the switch with same hand. He just kept scratching and scratching and scratching. His girlfriend didn't seem bothered. She just sat there and said nothing. Meanwhile, I wanted to eliminate him. Story 76. I dislike it when people use the bathroom, wash their hands, and then turn off the faucet with their hands, ultimately touching toe same faucet they just touched with dirty hands. Also, toilet paper straight up doesn't work. Story 77. When a person blows out the candles on their birthday cake and everyone eats the birthday cake afterwards, the people don't know they're eating cake sprinkled with the birthday celebrant's spit. Story 78. I've seen so many poker players eating at the table with their hands. They've been handling dirty cards and chips, and then don't clean their hands to eat. Story 79. Using your phone, I can guarantee you that your cell phone is one of, if not the filthiest object in your house. Story 80. Where does the immune system figure into this? As I understand, many younger people are suffering from allergies primarily from their immune system not being exposed to dirt enough. Growing up too clean, I, for one, believe the immune system needs exercise and suffers from not being exposed to viruses and bacteria. Story 81. I'm in the minority here in the US, but I can't understand how not using a bidet is the norm. It's honestly insane to me. Answer. As someone who grew up in the Philippines where we're all taught to wash our jerk properly after taking a crap, this also boggles my mind about Americans. Every time I ask my American friends about this, they also get very defensive and somewhat hostile about it. I've just stopped asking altogether. Also, at least try wiping your male body part with a ply of tissue after taking a piss. I know far too many people who just take a piss and let their underwear do all the cleanup. Absolutely disgusting. Story 82. Not sanitizing your phone or cleaning your reusable cup regularly. Also, people that don't clean their cat's litter box. They shouldn't have a cat. Story 83. Sticking your fingers in your mouth and then not washing them. People don't understand just how much gets spread from saliva.